Hello.
Hi. Cheers. Love it. I have Bodhi outside with me. He's like over there somewhere.
Oh, little kitty.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome.
What's up? Thank you. I'm excited.
All right. Sounds good. So just to give you some rules, um, any question that you don't feel like answering or don't feel comfortable answering, it's totally fine. You can just say pass.
Okay.
Any question that I ask, however you interpret it, is how you interpret it. So if you need clarification, just answer it how you want to answer it.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. And if at the end, if there's anything that you want to talk about that hasn't been talked about, feel free.
Okay. Very cool.
So, all right. All right. So first things first, tell me about your life growing up. So
Growing
where
up.
did you grow up? Family life?
Okay. So growing up, my parents were together. They were together until I was 18. But when I was young, I had like a very happy childhood. I grew up in Mineola, Long Island, and I would go to Riverhead every summer. But besides that, my dad was like super into boating, and I would always go out in the boat. When I was younger, I was definitely closer with my brother, so like that was nice too, and my family was like more connected. And I also had like a lot of really good close friends when I was younger, and now too, but just different friend groups. But yeah, my childhood was good, and I don't know, typical kid, fun, in the sun childhood.
Nice. So what do you do for a living now?
I'm a nurse in ICU. I've been at the same hospital since 2013. Currently, I've been in ICU as a nurse since 2016, so I've been there for 4 years.
And you've been in ICU before COVID? Like it wasn't like a change?
Yeah, no, it was I'm in the same unit, but when COVID happened, it was definitely like stressful on everybody. And we got hit the hardest because there was a lot of really, really sick people. Now it's back to normal, but I was in the ICU for, yeah, like 3.5 years before COVID craziness.
Did you always want to be a nurse?
I did not. It was the kind of thing I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I am like a jack of all trades, master of none, and I like wasn't sure what suited me. But I definitely really enjoy like taking care of people and being that support system. So I think it does suit me well. I went back to school for nursing in 2014. I have a bachelor's in health science before that I went to Quinnipiac for, and then I went to Malloy for nursing, which was a 2.5 year program. So,
Very cool.
yeah, I don't regret it though. Like there's definitely times that I that I'm working and it's stressful, and I sometimes I double think it. I think it'd be crazy if like anyone said they didn't double think their job, but I really do enjoy it, and it makes me feel good.
Good. How has it been emotionally for you during COVID, at work or otherwise?
COVID was really hard to deal with. So one of the hardest things for me, because being in ICU, I can try and disconnect like what's going on with the patient and my own family and things like that. But it's so hard when you hear someone else's family. So it was hard to juggle like the phone calls that I was getting and the amount of stress and like heartache I heard on the other line. So I would always try and do like things for myself, whether that be like go home and like chug ice cream or a drink or like do some yoga. Like I always wanted to do things to kind of like get back to me and treat myself, because it was very stressful. And while the patients, like the load was heavy and the acuity was high, it was emotionally taxing, and relationship wise, it was hard to find people who understood what was going on. And a lot of times when my parents would try and talk to me, I would just get frustrated because they would question everything about it and be like, oh, so how is it today? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? What do we do? Like, that wasn't really what I needed. What I needed was more like, you're okay. Let's talk about something happy. Let's go do something this week. Not like to dwell on what stress is going on right now. Bodhi. I don't know where the cat went.
The cat escaping. Do you need a minute?
Let me see. He's probably okay.
All right. We're back.
Hey.
All right. The cat is nice and sound, safe and sound now. With your parents' divorce, do you maintain relationships with both of them? Would you say like equally, not at all?
I maintain relationships with both of them. Equally is hard to say. It's actually pretty interesting because like my dad's farther away, like but me and him I think get along more. My mom is closer, and there's a lot of things with our relationship that I do appreciate, and I love her for many reasons. She's like always been that backbone for everybody, for me, for like our family, but it's hard to feel like overwhelmed, and it's like really easy to feel that way like when I'm around her, just because I feel like everything has to be a certain way. My dad very much is like more free spirit, so equally I'm not sure if I can say that, but like I definitely do maintain relationships with both of them differently. Like I know I can go to my dad for some things and my mom for other things, and they'll understand in a different way.
Good answer. I know my mom always says I'm like my father's daughter. So
Yeah,
I don't think she means it in a nice way, but it's okay.
All the time we're twins. So I'm like, it's so funny. The more like the older I get and the more I grow up, I realize that like it's a beautiful thing that I'm like my dad, because I'm very much like my mom too, in the sense where like I can be that person when I have to be, and be that like type A, worried about people, empathetic, caring person. I do have that part of me, but I'm very much like free spirited and fun loving like my dad. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself to be friends with your brother, or is he just a sibling?
Yeah. He is just a sibling, unfortunately. I'm not gonna lie. I've tried so hard to make connections with him, but he's the kind of person like you never really know what you're gonna get. He's had an issue with drugs for a long time, and honestly, it hurts me more when I try and get close with him. So I kind of just leave it where it is. I'm respectful. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't, and like I just don't need like that negativity in my life, which kind of sucks because like in the end he is my brother. But I do what I can, and I do like what feels good for me.
Yeah. Tell me, okay, this is the juicy stuff. This is why I was like, we can have cocktails. It's okay for cocktails. Okay, so tell me about your philosophy on dating / being single. If you're single currently, unless you've like changed.
in 2 weeks, yeah.
Since I saw you.
You never know. So currently I am single. This is actually one of the longest times I've ever been single since I started dating in the 6th grade. So let me tell you.
In the 6th grade. And you're how old?
28.
All right.
So I've been single, honestly, it's just a year now. And originally it wasn't what I wanted. Like I always liked being with somebody, like the support of having someone there. But I realized that I honestly was dating all wrong, and I had a lot of flaws in myself from growing up and seeing kind of the wrong thing on how to like go about pursuing someone, or how to go about being in a relationship. So like I feel like I was always the one who was like giving, and like it's so important to know that like there should be a balance there. And I think a lot of it honestly comes from the way I saw like love in my own family, and clearly like that didn't work out with my parents, but like the way that they both did it was the way that I thought that like was appropriate. And my mom was always the one who was like doing everything and like for the family and like for him and this and that. And I was like, oh, so I guess like that's how, what's supposed to happen. Like I'm just supposed to be like the Stepford wife. And the the past couple months, honestly, like even not even a year, because a year I didn't realize I had issues until like a couple months in, and I was like, wow, like this is obviously a problem. But the past couple months, I've just been focusing on myself. And then I know that sounds like super cliche, and it's not that I don't want to find someone, like I definitely do, but I haven't really found someone to meet me there. And then there's been prospects, but I try not to be too critical. And also like some or one or two of the people who I've liked, who I wanted to go to the next step, like weren't ready. So what I'm learning right now is that you can't force someone to like meet you where you are. And I feel like I was always that person to like do the extra thing so they'll like see that I'm worth it and like go the extra mile. But I'm honestly just having fun being single. I, to say the least, like used to be very promiscuous, and it feels good to know that like you don't have to use like sex to keep someone around, because I very much used it as like a control thing. And I think some of the people who I'm talking to now like don't realize that yet. But it feels good to not have to like be that person, like to have sex with them and like just to keep them coming around. So it's nice to have like friendships with guys. And like honestly, that's where I am right now. Like I have a few guy friends, and like I have, you know, not that I don't have feelings for them. Like I could see like one or two blossoming into something, but it doesn't mean like it's not the end all. Like there's potential, but there can be potential in so many things.
Yeah. No, I like what you said.
Potential is also dangerous. So
I like what you said about like them meeting you where you're at, because I feel like, I mean, I definitely can relate to that, because I feel like, I mean, now I'm in a relationship, but prior to this relationship that I'm in now, which is the healthiest one I've been in ever, I always feel like I was kind of like you, and like I felt like I had to overcompensate or like give or force someone to be where they're totally not ready for. And it's not anything against them, it's just they're not in the same spot. So
yeah, one of them, I'll tell you, like one of the things that my roommate said to me that like honestly will stick with me, because it was such a strong thing to say, and like I never thought of it this way, but one of her friends or like her therapist or someone hold on, I hear the cat crying.
no worries.
One of the things that she said to me that I really, really liked is that we're all on this journey called life, and sometimes people continue on the journey with you, and sometimes they meet you at one point. And honestly, like you should appreciate that point for what it is. And if you have to leave it there, it sucks to like let go. And as humans, like sometimes we don't like change.
Sometimes, but all the time.
Yeah. But it's important to see that like not everyone's going to continue like on this journey with you. And like when you think about it, like most people are with like 1, 2, 3 like people for like the rest of their life, you know what I mean? Like so it's just it's important to realize that like don't negate your past, and don't negate like your old feelings for someone, or like that you were so stupid in a past relationship, because like that's one of the hardest things to get through, like when you come out of like a bad relationship.
Like how did I not see how stupid they were, how mean they were, like
or
how
like
ugly they are?
How did I not see like that I was being used, or that he was this, or that he was cheating on me, and it's important to like take the knowledge from that, and also know that like that part that they met you on that part of your journey, like it taught you something. You have like those special moments and go from there. Because I know one of the things that I wish I didn't do, like I don't have many regrets, and I wouldn't say it's a true regret, but when I would date somebody, when we would break up, I would like get rid of every single picture. And there's so many things that I look back and I'm like, it's not documented because I got rid of all the pictures. So like that time I went to Jamaica, that time I went to so many different places, like I'll never have those pictures back because it was like my ego leading me to think that like I need to erase everything. And like, you don't. Just like, you have to be in a certain comfortable spot where like you can see that relationship or that person like for what it was, that they met you at a certain point and that it was good for a certain point and that the feelings were real, but then the feelings went away and now we are here and I've been single for a year, so who fucking knows.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Being single in COVID sucks though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the whole picture thing, I mean, you know me, but because I know we've chatted about guys and relationships before, but when I was in a 5-year relationship, which was my longest relationship, and you know, it went by the wayside, I had a lot of pictures, and that's 5 years worth. And when I broke up with him, everyone's like, oh, you're going to delete all your pictures off Facebook, right? And I'm like, hell no, like that's 5 years. Like that's 5 years. And I use Facebook as like my like photo storage. So,
yeah, of course.
I'm like, that's 5 years, like when I was 21 to 25, like I can't erase that.
Yeah. What I did recently, like with some of my old pictures, because my phone was just getting crazy, I took them off of social media because I feel like if anyone new was to come into my life, like I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. So like I wouldn't expect them to, but I put them on my computer. So like if I meet anybody or if anyone's interested and like they go through my computer or something or say like we talk about it, like I'll explain like, you know, it's not because I miss the person, it's just because like I want the memories.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to erase at that time in my life because there's so many funny pictures, even like for me and like one of my first serious boyfriends, like when I was a freshman in college, and like all those pictures are gone, like, and it's less about like the other person and more about like where you were at that point, because it's funny to like look back and see like, wow, I was a mess back then, or like, wow, my hair was this color.
I was gonna
like,
say, look at your hairstyle, like what am I wearing?
Yeah, and 5 years, like it's less about like you missing that person, it's more about like the 5 years of growth that you've had, not with him, but just like in life. Because like when you knows like when you're dating someone, like it's a friendship on steroids, honestly. So like you're with them all the time, probably more than anybody else, and like deleting all those pictures is like deleting 5 years. So like that's something I definitely learned recently, that it's not smart to just delete everything.
Agreed. All right. Next saucy question.
Next, let's go. Bring it.
Okay. What are your thoughts on sex? Take it wherever you may go.
I think sex is amazing. Where should I go with this? I think, honestly, right now, I think it's really important to like, to not use sex for that power control thing, and for it to be really between two people who love each other, honestly, because I've lived a lot of life. I honestly don't care who sees this. My number is pretty high. I went to 2 different colleges. Well, now 3 because I have my master's, but like I'm a very physical person. I'm a very handsy person. And you get to a point when you have a lot of like monotonous like sex with people that it loses a meaning. And that's like one of the scariest things. So I think it's really important to keep that special. And for someone who can meet you like where you want to be met. And honestly, I think relationships tend to work out better if that's what you're looking for, when you get to know the person first. And it sounds like super old school, but I read like a lot of books on relationships, and I was reading one just before about like sexual journey and like past traumas and things like that, and like how to move forward from that. And it was saying like how a relationship for you should like progress, and it talks about first like not even holding hands, but first like touching a shoulder or something, and then like you hold them, and then you can start to caress them, and then you like can trace like your fingers on their body, and like then you can kiss
Baby
them.
steps.
It's just, yeah, no, it was like, it's nice to take those baby steps with someone, because a lot of times like in our generation and now with every like just with our age group and society, everyone's just like, you have sex first, like then you get to know them, and that just like, for someone like me, I tend to put someone in a certain category. So like if I wind up just like having sex with them like soon after meeting them, it's like clearly they're not dating material. This is what
like,
it
that's
is.
all they're gonna be.
Yeah, it's like obviously they're showing me like for face value like that this is it. I don't think that that's even the case, because a lot of people just don't know how to fucking communicate. But I think
That's
communication is
very
sexy,
true.
and
Yeah.
I think that I love sex, and I'm definitely like, I'll be the first to admit it, like I'm somewhat of a freak, but I think it should be special. There were times that I didn't, and there were times that I was kind of like, you know what, maybe like not being in a committed relationship is a good thing. Maybe I'll have 2 boyfriends. Maybe I'll do this. Like, but honestly, I want like my own American dream with like my spin on it. Like, I don't need a million people. I want like one person who gets me, and like if you want casual sex, go for it. Like, I'm like not against it because I've been there, but like that's just not where I am right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting older. I'm almost 30. I kind of want to like, I want to find something real and like healthy. Healthy and me have always gotten along.
I definitely agree with you when you say like communication is sexy, because like, I mean, I remember, I don't even know when, it was definitely my 5-year relationship. He did this, and I think maybe 1 or 2 in between, and I'm 31, so not much in that time that they've actually called. Like when the guy picks up the phone and calls you and is like, hey, do you want to hang out? Do you want to go out? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, wow, you're not texting me? That's so weird. Like, you're calling me. And it sounds so silly, but like a guy that's not scared to like pick up the phone and have his voice be communicated over the phone lines is kind of nice. And it's like attractive because it's like, oh, you're not scared to talk on the phone? That's cool.
Like, it gives you a female like boner. I agree, like 1,000%.
Do you think that men and women are perceived or treated differently when it comes to their sex life?
Does that mean like orientation or
just, I mean it more in the sense of
marriage or
if you're, I was gonna say more of like if you're a girl. Sorry, I have like a wedgie I'm fixing while I'm like sitting here because I'm wearing a bathing suit. It's like super uncomfortable. Like if you think of a girl, or like you, because you're a girl, going out single, out on the town, one night stands here and there, and the same thing for a guy. Do you think that they're that men and women are perceived or treated differently in that sense?
This is like such a gutted question.
I know.
This pisses me off, so I want to like fucking scream.
Go, scream, go ahead.
Wait, the chair is collapsing. Oh shit.
Dramatic effects. It's still recording. I'm leaving it on.
Okay. Being one of those girls, there is definitely a double standard that pisses me the fuck off. I was having this conversation with someone the other night. We were talking about like going to bars alone, and honestly, like I was an avid of that because I do that all the time. And well, not now, but like when this shit opens again, like I'm going to be doing that. When my friends don't want to go, like
We're still gonna go out.
I'm still gonna go out, even like to concerts. I was like aviding going to concerts like frequently in the summer by myself, because a lot of people like don't like my music. And honestly, like, I don't want to go to a concert with someone who like half-asses the music or acts like they like it. So I'd rather just go by myself and meet people. But when it like talking about sex and like being single and flirty and stuff like that, I definitely think there's a double standard. As progressive as we are right now, I think that because I'm a female, if I was to have a one night stand, they would look at me like if like other people would look at me like trash. But if a guy was to have a one night stand, it like wouldn't have like the same connotation. They'd be like, oh, whatever, like good for you, like he just wants to be single. But if it's a girl, they're like, oh, you know, she's just like one of those type of girls. Like, that shit is so stupid. But it also goes the other way, which really bothers me. And it's one of the things that I'm seeing now, being single for this long. Everybody thinks that you want to be in a relationship, or like any move to see somebody is like, that's like what it's coming from. So I was having this conversation like a couple of weeks ago with one of my guy friends. He's attractive. I like him. Whatever. We'll leave it at that. But we had a conversation, and I know that like he doesn't want to be in a relationship. I understand. It took me a little bit to get to the point where I'm like, Alexa, like, you can't change his mind. Like, he doesn't want a relationship. It's not you, it's him. Like, you have to leave it there. But it doesn't mean that I want to not hang out with him. And that doesn't mean like sex hang out. It means like literally hang out, because I like hanging out with him and his friends. So sometimes I'll like message him or he'll message me, and I feel like he thinks it's like me reaching out because I like him. It's me reaching out because I want to hang out with you and your friends. And I told him like multiple times, it's like, it's not coming from like, he said he doesn't want a relationship, and I understand that, and I understood it, and like, that's it. But I still feel like guys are programmed, or they think that like women,
I know what you're,
that they like are advancing themselves to like be in a position of like a relationship. Like, that's not, I like literally just want to hang out with your friends. Like, so that kind of shit makes me mad.
I want to steal your friends. No, I get you. It's like, it's
because it makes you look like a little bit crazy. Like, oh, like she keeps, or like whatever people say crazy is, like she's getting in touch with me, this and that. And like, I don't really care. I just want to hang out with people and have fun and this and that. But I feel like people, it's a very like immature mindset, honestly, like that women and men can't be friends. I think like there definitely like can be friends. I think like with me and this one person in particular, like there is definitely like sexual chemistry there. So like that's weird a little bit, but like I do want to hang out with him and his friends. So like if he doesn't want a relationship, like I still want to see him. But like I feel like sometimes people don't understand. Like I don't know if he understands that like the way that I want him to. Like his brain's a little like.
It's really funny. Funny because it's like I get it. It's like not funny because it's just funny.
I feel like because guys are programmed to like think that way, which is crazy.
I also think that guys, and again, this is just like our view. I feel like women all have like kind of the same view on this thing, and this could just be me making it up, but like guys don't like to. From my experience, I'll just say from my experience, guys don't seem to like to put labels on stuff. So the minute that there's like an inkling of, oh my God, this could turn into like more, and like more could turn into like sex, or more could turn into like me meeting her family, or more could turn into marriage, whatever it is, like more of anything, it like scares them. And so even if they maybe are into you, like you say, like the guy has, like you can feel the chemistry between you guys, like physically or whatever it is, that the guys kind of like put it away and pretend it's not there, or it might not be there. I mean, like I'm not saying it's always there, but it's there and they put it aside, or it's just not there. Like
I know this firsthand.
Not like it's like it's a gray area.
Yeah. I've like gotten pretty close with this person's like friends over the past like month or so. So I text one of his friends like every couple of days because like he's newly single and he just like asks like one like female advice from me, and I don't know, like we get along, so I don't mind like talking to him, and I'm sure like he doesn't mind either. But he was saying the other night, so he had a date with this girl and he goes, shit, she's beautiful, she has her shit together, and she's word for word, she's chill as fuck. She's like, he goes, what do I do? Because his plan was like to be single for a year. So he was like, you know, like he was just dating, I guess, like to hook up or whatever, or like just to see what's out there. Like, but his end goal is to be single for a year. So he's like, shit, like, what do I do? He's like, she has everything. Like, now, what am I supposed to do? I was like,
fucking up my plans.
I'm like, you went on a date with the person and you're pissed that she's that you like her. Like, just don't go on a date then. It's just so funny.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah, but that like kind of made me think of like what you said, because
I feel like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if someone has their mindset on being single, like people who I could see someone like fearing away or shying away from like someone who they could potentially like because they want to stay single. I get it. I feel like that's definitely more of a male thing. Girls are like, oh, I want to be single. And then like Prince Charming comes along and you're like, fuck it, I'm married.
Yeah, it's like me curling my hair that I don't have right now. I'm like, oh. I feel like, we've all been there. I know you've been there because I've been there. Me and you have talked about it. And like every girl I feel like has talked about it. But after a breakup, it's like, oh my God, like I know after my last breakup, I was like, oh, you know, I'm not going to rush into anything. All your close friends tell you don't rush into anything. Like, do you, girl? Like, be single. Like, do you? Like, whatever. And you try to like do you, and you're like, but doing me is like, I'm really good with guys. Like, there's like almost like, what do I do? Because if you meet someone, I know like the guy I'm with now, we get along really great. You wouldn't necessarily think that we would get along great if you like knew both of us separately.
Yeah.
But we work, and I wasn't going to shy away from it just because, I mean, I know like I was skeptical. I've been skeptical years prior after relationships, saying like, oh my God, I'm not going to jump into something now.
I get it, for sure.
Just because I'm newly single. It's almost like for me, it's just like, be cautious. Don't like ward everything off.
I think like that's a good attitude, and that's honestly like where I get stuck, because it's hard to like, this is like, because this is like the issue, or like this is how I see it, because I know how I am. If I wanted to be single, Prince Charming comes along, I'm not gonna be like, get out of here, buddy.
Peace out.
I'm single. Don't fucking touch me. Like, that's not how it works. So that's why it's interesting to me that like this person, and like not even just him, but like one or two other guys like who I was semi interested with, like, or in, they like said a similar thing, and it seems like a cop out, and whoever, you know, winds up seeing this or whatever, like, and I've read like,
we're going to send this to all your men. All your men are going to get a broadcast.
No, I've like read things about relationships, and also like I've listened to podcasts and like things on Facebook, you know, like all that, the whole 9 yards. Like, from a guy's perspective, what I hear is that like you're just not the one. Like, if someone isn't ready, like that's a cop out. It's like they're just like not that into you.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah. It's hard to like go your head. But also part of me is like, maybe it's a weird time. I don't really know. I'm going to enjoy myself anyway and just do whatever. Like, I'm not like holding on to something. But yeah, I would think that like a lot of people say that like men and women are so different, like, but we're really not. And in the end, like, they're very much like supposed to be the hunter kind of. So like if they're not aggressively approaching you, like that's something that I have to remember. Like if someone isn't talking to me all the time, like clearly it's for a reason. Like I should be thinking of them less.
Yeah, I had a friend in college that he was dating the same girl through high school and then through college. Is your audio on like a different setting right now? Because I'm getting echo. Maybe now.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Here.
crying out the window now. I feel bad.
It's all good.
Oh.
So I knew this guy and he dated this girl through high school into college. They both went to different colleges and they both had they agreed on an open relationship. So they both hooked up with whoever. I hooked up with him at one point, whatever. It was like, not my problem, not my relationship. I don't care. It was just like, the person having a good time in that. And there were many others in my position with him. And everyone thought that him and his girlfriend were going to get married. They were so perfect together. We all met her. She was so nice. And I heard after the fact, years later, that they broke up. She wanted to get married and he didn't. Of course, this is like all hearsay, so who knows what the actual story was.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, it was like she wanted to get married. He didn't. Said he wasn't ready for marriage. And then less than a year later, hooked up with someone that he knew elsewhere and got married, like engaged and married, and is now expecting a kid. And it was like boom, 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 pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's just funny because, I mean, granted, like I said, I don't know the whole story, so that may not be how it went down, but from hearing that, and I feel like everyone has that experience where it's just like a guy says like, oh, I'm not ready, or it's too soon, but then like immediately after they go move on to someone else. I know I've had that experience where like a relationship's ended for me and a guy, and then the guy goes on and like gets engaged, like one of my exes, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like the fixer, like I fix them and like I send them back into the world to be like marriage material, like, but if it didn't come through me, it like never would have happened. Like I'm almost like a little boot camp or a little like training session for them, and then they go back into the world and get married, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to, but that's been like a trend for me.
Yeah, no, that's that actually happened to me. That happened to me. It was weird. Not like soon after, but like, do you remember Joe?
So,
should I not say names?
Oh, I remember Joe. It's okay. Joe is such a common name. Like, get a new name.
Yeah.
Joe could be, first of all, Joe could be your real name, or Joe could be like not your name.
Joe is his acronym. I don't know, whatever. But he got engaged like last year or 2 years ago. So that was like, that's crazy. Like I've never been in that position where I was like dating someone and we were like kind of serious. Like we dated for like 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. And like then he was engaged. Like we broke up. I don't know. I'm crazy. I broke up with him, and then like 2 years later, he was like engaged to someone else. And it's just crazy how life goes on.
I do think life does go on, but it's also weird to me. Like, I mean, in Joe's situation, how he remained friends with people on like social media. Not to say that you should like defriend everybody, but I feel like he stayed in touch with me on social media, like following me and like following, I know, like other friends and stuff. And I'm like, you're not dating my friend anymore. Like, bye. Like,
yeah, he didn't. Like I don't think he like deleted anybody, which is odd. Like
and it's kind of weird. I mean, I know it's something like it does take an extra step to like defriend someone or unfollow someone, because it's like time and energy to have to do that stuff. But
I was also like a really shitty person in that situation, like, and I'll be the first one to say it. I just like knew that our families and that like where we were in life like wasn't meshing, and like I didn't see myself like with him long term, so I didn't want to drag it on any longer. Get in, Bodhi. Do you want to pause it for a second just because I have to
Sure.
feed him? He keeps on crying.
Okay, next question.
Yes.
So when I was little, I used to get really excited when I went underwear shopping with my mom. Flower panties for the don't make me laugh. It's so like I'm so serious. I'm serious, but I'm laughing. Flower panties for the springtime, pumpkin for October, black panties for when I wanted to feel mature, etc. Even today, you know I love a theme. If someone were to see the inside of your lingerie drawer, do you think they would have guessed it was your clothing or that it was somebody else's?
Oh no, I think they would know it was
Oh
mine.
no.
My underwear drawer. I have two. The one on the left is filled with a lot of sex toys and bras. I have like one like black and sequins one, like when I want to just wear that out. And then I have just like plain bras. But most people who know me, I'm like super into being athletic and healthy and fit. So I wear a lot of like seamless underwear. This is kind of like a PG, like it's nothing crazy. So I have like a lot of seamless in different colors, and then I have like lacy, and that's it. Like there's no in between. It's either like seam free or sex all day. I was never like, I love a theme. Whenever I can dress up, I'm fucking there. I'm there the day before. But with underwear, no.
The day before.
I was more like whatever like is sexy, like whatever like looks cute. And then I always hated like the line in pants. So like this, ever since seamless came out, I was on that shit.
I hear you. Do you have do you have a favorite piece of lingerie?
Honestly, I don't really have lingerie.
Okay.
I just have toys. Lingerie, I feel like, I don't know. I haven't.
I was gonna say I've had guys in the past tell me like, what's the point? Because it's like
That's what I was gonna say.
you
like,
put it on, but it doesn't last long, and it's kind of like in the way and awkward, and
to be honest with
you,
you, like
pictures, but like aside from that, it's not. But
it's weird to say, but like a lot of the people that I've dated like didn't really care about lingerie, or if it was just like a sexual thing, like if it was like a one night stand or something, like I'm not gonna wear like lingerie. What I've done before is I've like showed up to someone's house like in a trench coat with like nothing on underneath. But like I guess like that's my lingerie.
it's really fun.
I don't know. If I wanted to like sex myself up for someone, I have like black lacy like thong underwear that's really cute, and it's like satin, and it's like a string, like a G-string type.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'd probably just do that with like no bra, or I can like just wear like a black bra. Like I'm not super into lingerie.
Yeah, I hear it. I feel like it's also super expensive. Like anytime I've ever gotten into like Victoria's Secret, I'm like, why is that $100? Like it's like this much fabric.
Yeah, it's a very like datey thing. Like I'm not with anyone right now. Like if I was dating someone, I would definitely treat them to like a night of lingerie and like look at me and like eat sushi off my pussy, you know what I mean?
My cleavage.
But like, yeah, when you're not dating someone, like that's not priority. You barely get foreplay. It's kind of just like, who needs clothes?
Okay. Next question. Let's talk about dating apps. So what apps have you what apps do you use? Are there any apps that you like refuse to use because you like have a certain view on them?
So I'm honestly a big advocate on dating apps. I don't think it's a negative thing. I think like the stereotype with meeting someone on a dating app is dumb. Honestly, I've had like 4 serious relationships in my life, for I don't know, serious, long, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I met 3 out of the 4 on a dating app. And I don't really care. I think like we connected well. I connected with each of them. Currently, I'm on Hinge and Bumble. I met people on like Tinder before, and like I don't think it's the same as it used to be. I think a lot of people were like, oh, Tinder's just for sex, this and that. I think like people use either one for like their benefit, like whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
But you can tell when you talk to someone like what their motive is, kind of thing. But I think stereotypes around dating apps are going to change. I think like COVID definitely is going to change them all like a lot in itself, because we can't see people as much. And I'm sure people who are single, you know, dating online is something that they're going to want to do during this time, because it can get lonely, not going to lie.
Yeah. I know one of my friends, she has had dates. She said dates like she had dinner. They both had the same dinner, and they like FaceTimed with the same dinner. Like they both cooked it, or they both ordered it, and it's just like it's cute, but at the same time, it's like it's not the same. It's definitely not the same as being in person, but you can.
Yeah, as good looking as you might think someone is or whatever, like most people are always like very self-conscious on screen, and like on that way, like this isn't like completely natural for me, like, and I think it'd be the same thing like virtually dating someone, like, so that's why I know sometimes people like don't feel comfortable like FaceTiming or like talking on the phone, because like they feel that self-conscious like aspect. But one of the things that I really do appreciate and value with online dating is to not really focus on like the exterior, because I'm like not a very vain person, and I really like someone like for the core that they are. And I also think like meeting someone in a bar is really hard, especially when the music is loud and like you can't hear what they're saying. And honestly, like when I'm out, I'm in a different mindset. Like when I'm out, I don't want to be like pulled aside by one person, as stupid as that sounds. Like I want to have fun with my friends. Like if I'm there by myself, honestly, I don't even want to like, it's not the time for me to meet anyone. It's like the time for me to have fun. There's definitely like, there's different times, like maybe if, I don't know, if I like see someone from across the room who I think is really cute, like I'll go up to them or whatever, or like they can come up, that's fine. But I like dating apps. I think I'm like gonna continue to use them. I think it definitely like winds up hurting more in the long run, because like you meet a lot of people, you meet a lot more people than you would like organically, I'm gonna say, or whatever.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I've been single for a year. I've like
shameless plug.
I've gotten upset over people who I barely know, who I know and went on one date with. And like, I think that's just something that's going to come with like dating apps, because a lot of times like it goes back to like our potential of like what we think like is going to happen, how good we think the person is, how good we think they are for us, like what he has going for them, this and that. But I think dating apps is like definitely a good avenue to meet people, but it does lend yourself to getting hurt more, because there's just so many more people you can meet.
Yeah, I somewhat agree. I mean, I've had my share, so I kind of got onto the dating app world.
I remember.
I got it probably before me and you even like discussed, but I got onto the dating app world pretty early on. Early on in the dating app scene in general. I did eHarmony for fun when I was like 19, and I'm like 31 now. So when I was 19, I went on to eHarmony, just like, why not? Because I was like, oh, let's see what it's all about, whatever. I did that. I did Match. I never did Bumble. I never did Hinge. I never did any of the other apps. I got some like decent dinners out of them, you know, free dinners. I feel like that's like the big plug. It's like, oh, get a free meal. Cool.
I remember you saying that. Hey,
yeah. So that was cool. I feel like it's kind of just a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot either way. If you meet someone naturally, if you meet someone through a dating app, I've had my fair share. It's probably 50-50 since I was probably 18, 19 years old that I've dated people from apps, and I've dated people not from apps, and like the guy I'm with now is not from an app. He's from a mutual friend. Before him, he was from mutual friends. Before that was from a dating app. Before that was natural. Before that was from a dating app. And I've gone on, those other dates that didn't pan out into relationships, but I've been on a bunch of dates. And I just think it's all the same, you meet weirdos wherever, you meet creeps wherever. It's not like they're only online, which I feel like now is not so much of a thing, or a thought as people thought when online dating first started. I have two cousins that are older than me significantly. I think they're both in their 40s that both met their husbands off JDate, like the Jewish dating website.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And that was like literally when that happened, it was years ago.
So that was like super taboo. Your family was probably like, what?
Yeah, my whole family was like, oh, cool. And they both met them through the same site. We're not like super religious of a family, but they both met them through a Jewish dating website, and both of them are still together, and have kids, and they're happy, as far as I know. So you never know. I feel like it's kind of like a crapshoot either way. So I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any pickup lines that stick out to you that are ridiculous, or any funny stories that you can recall offhand?
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin.
I was like, if not, we could just move on, because I know there's probably a ton that are just like jumbled in there.
Yeah, some of them are like really inappropriate, but let me think. Pickup lines? Honestly, not too many, but like just a bunch of catcalls, and like that's not really that I don't know, that's not appealing. Catcalls isn't cute. Like even the other night I was like riding my bike on the boardwalk, and I don't know, I was playing like old Christina Milian, and like someone started singing the lyrics, and then they're like, ooh, come back here. I was like, shut up. I'm like, that's just like, that's not the way to get someone over, like that's not the way to like reel a girl in. Crazy stories. Let me think. Like anything, like just like in a relationship or like sexual or
anything dating wise, like one night stand, whatever, anything.
Okay. So I can think of one. I can think of a few, but this one
comes to mind.
This is one of the most recent that that kind of like changed my perspective and like put me in the situation that I am now, like in a good space. So this guy I was seeing, I met him a couple of nights before Halloween, and I was like dressed up as this like steampunk, like half sheer shirt, like pasties on girl.
A pasty girl.
Yeah, pasty girl. And I went out to like one of the bars in Long Beach with my friend. Met him there. Wound up being like one of my friends, like exes from high school. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But like, like she didn't care about it still. Now she's engaged, like whatever. But it was just like a weird thing that like connected us, because I was like, oh, you went to that Catholic school, like cool, like you're my age, funny. But
awesome.
Winds it up, like he was a real freak, and he's also like covered in tattoos, besides the point, like hot as hell, I'll say that. Like he's one of the people that you look at and you're like, shit, I want to conquer him. Like it's not like it's not going anywhere. Like it wasn't like a dating thing, and like I knew like he didn't really want to date me. It was more of just like physical, and that was it. But what wound up happening is, one of the nights that I was over by his place, we like had dinner or whatever, like the night goes on, and his friend winds up like walking into his apartment. And I was like, to myself, I didn't say it out loud, but I was like, oh, like he's kind of cute. I was like, I wonder, if I could like swing something right now. So I wound up like messaging his friend, and whatever, he was like, oh, I knew you were looking at me, da, da, da. but I wound up actually like having like this relationship like with the both of them. And we I don't know if I'll ever do this again in my life, but we had a contract.
I was so hoping you would share this because I think it's amazing. And I think it's, before you go any further, just the fact that you have a contract is, for this type of thing, is genius. Like, I think it's genius.
Yeah. I still have it in my drawer. I think it was like a very liberating time for me, and the contract pretty much, I can't like go into full disclosure, but like it was just about like what we both expected on either side, like what we were warranted, like what we thought was right and equal. And we honestly, like, they both wound up coming over my house together. And then we like wrote out this contract, we signed our names, and that was it. This time has passed. So like the contract lasted not long. Like that shit doesn't last long. It was like 3 months,
That
4
shit
months.
doesn't last.
But it was something that I look back on and say, you know what? Like, good on you. I'm like, good on me for having the balls to like
Honestly,
go after what I wanted, and just like to talk with the both of them, because I was like, clearly I was talking to both of them like behind their backs, and like I don't know if they knew if I was talking to them, whatever, but I was like, can you guys just both come to my house together so we can have a discussion about like what's going on between the three of us? And they're like, yeah. And they thought it was so funny. They wound up like coming to my house with like wigs on, and they play this like little character. I was like, what is going on? It was cool. It made me feel like a boss bitch. It was it was cool. It was fun to be like the ringleader for a second.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you believe in marriage?
I don't know. I get stuck on this question.
Okay.
Save me. Yeah. That's how I feel about marriage. I get stuck on this question. I definitely want kids. Do I believe in marriage? I think if it's the right person, and I think if like they can meet me where I am and like grow with me, I just think it's really fucking scary. I think that like the fact that I'm looking at myself and I've grown so much from who I was last year to thinking that I'm going to grow with someone every year for the next 70 years, it's like horrifying. So I don't know. It's scary. I definitely like, I want to have a home base. I want to be with someone. I want to be with just one person, but like, and I want to have a family unit that's solid with kids and all that good stuff, that homegrown stuff.
All the stuff with country music.
Yeah. It just, I think sometimes like what I see and what I hear gets the best of me. One of my good friends like has had multiple relationship issues. I've had relationship issues. My other friend is like going through a divorce, like, and she's young. So it's hard to like say that you want something when you're scared of it, I guess. Yeah. But I'm not
scared that it would scared that it would let you paralyze yourself, that you wouldn't.
Yeah. So that's what I was just gonna say. I'm scared of like stability, as crazy as that sounds, and that's like such a thing. And I hear that a lot from like people actually who I work with, and like me and my roommate talk about this sometimes. Like, when you come sometimes from like a place of chaos, or like you thrive in like that environment. So the mundane, like thinking about having a 9 to 5 and coming home to the same person every night, and like maybe they're seeing Mary next door, like it's just like it's scary. It's scary. In the end, like I would like to get married, but the trust that I have for other people just isn't there, because I'm like hardcore to the T. Like I'll do anything for anyone, and like everyone who I know knows that. Like I was so prepared for this interview. No, but seriously, like, I'm always down, and I've been shown again and again that people can't be trusted, and like, it sucks, and I don't live my life that way. So like, when I meet people, I look past it, but thinking about marrying someone, I don't know. Because you never know. You
You
never
never
know,
know.
like,
I
what
mean, then
someone's
that's like in
thinking.
anything. It's like an armor. Like you have,
Yeah.
you never know. I feel like I watch a lot of Lifetime movies, so it's like you never know. Like Rob Lowe is always in the craziest movies where like he seems like so straight laced and like awesome, and then Rob Lowe kills his wife, and it's like, oh my god, so you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like you never know, and I feel like I've experienced that with friends and their relationships, my relationships, but it's like in your relationship, you know that you don't always show the truth of how it is. Like things could be awful, but like you put on a facade, and you know that other people definitely do the same. You know, you don't always know how things are, and it is a scary thing. I definitely agree with that. Like you never know how things are on the other side, even though what you perceive is it's like a small part of it.
That's one of the things that like I don't like the most about society, because people just like feel the need to like look a certain way, and
Yeah.
social media is like one thing, because I know we all want to look our best. Like, I'm not knocking that at all. Like, I do the same shit. I use filters when I was dating
I use
someone.
filters.
All the pictures were happy. It wasn't like we were crying an hour before. Like, I get it. Like, that's different. But I think a lot of times people can't even be like transparent with their friends, which like sucks, and or like with their other half. So if I find someone who can meet me like where I am and grow with me and communicate, like, there's potential. Like, I don't negate marriage, but I haven't found somebody who's as upfront or like connected with themselves as I am in a in a male form yet. It's
Yeah.
just I don't want to be played as a fool.
So you don't rule it out. It's there, but it's
No,
not like
yeah, I
a
don't rule it
thing.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not rule it out.
Go ahead.
Do you know what I think about too sometimes?
What?
So it's crazy to look at friends or family and like where they've been and now where they are. So seeing people like now engaged when like you knew them in a different situation, or like a negative situation or a good situation or a situation you thought would last forever, and now they're with someone else. I honestly don't feel like many people take the time to like heal from that, or like move on from their past experiences. They kind of just like jump into something else. So it's a little scary, like, to see that. And I think sometimes that's why some things might not go well, because people don't always take the time to like focus inward. They're more on like, what can I find outside of myself that'll make me feel better, and like that won't leave me feeling like alone or whatever. But it's just a thought. It's like, because I lately, like, so I'm 28. A few of my close friends have like been taking further steps in their relationship. So it's crazy to remember them from way back when they were like complaining about Johnny whatever, like, not a real name, but like from high school, and now they're marrying Sammy Sosa. Like, you know, it's just different. Life changes. Thomas Rhett.
Yeah, I was gonna say, country. Hello. That kind of leads me into my next question. So I know you've been getting into yoga, and you did things like the 21 Days of Abundance with Deepak Chopra. Would you consider yourself to be someone that's spiritual, or just experimenting? I don't know. Do you consider yourself in a certain aspect?
I don't like labels. I don't really consider myself, I don't know. I guess I consider myself spiritual in the essence of thinking that there's like something out there that's greater than myself. I don't follow a certain like denomination. I was raised Catholic. I had my confirmation and I was baptized. And it's not like I negate all of that either, because my family still has strong ties in Catholicism. But right now, I think I merge well with Buddhist teachings and just like the knowledge that they have and the worldliness that it encounters, and the way that like even in Buddhist teachings, it's very like non-denominational.
Yeah.
It talks about everything as a whole and how everything's interconnected and interbeing and all of that. And I think it just like synthesizes with me better than thinking of, you know, the way, and sometimes the church can be more structured. I think the most important thing to me is just like the way that I live my life. So I just believe in doing good. Like that's like honestly like the only thing that like that's what drives me. Doing good for myself, doing good for others, and doing something that challenges me, and not hurting people, and you know, intentionally or ever, and just doing something like good for society and the world, and kind of like trying to make a difference. So it's less about like putting myself in a category and more about just like developing myself as a person. But spiritual is like a loaded term. In terms of like goodness, I guess I would say like, yes, I follow like that, but spiritual as in like Allah or Jesus or God. I definitely think that there is a power, and when times get tough, I do like talk to whoever's up there, and I hope they're listening to me. But it's more about self-focusing for me. I think a lot of times, like sometimes people use it as a crutch, or sometimes people are less focused on like what they can do and more focused like, oh, if I pray, if I do this. And I'm not knocking like religion, like if that's what you believe, like then that's okay. But I just believe in like freedom with religion, honestly. Like a lot of times, some of the things that I've seen, and a lot of people are not going to like this and disagree. Some people who are religious or claim to be can be very judgmental, and that's one of the issues that I have with people who put themselves in that sort of situation.
I completely agree with you. That's kind of like it. I don't have an issue with people that are religious, but when you have encounters like that, it completely turns you off from connecting with that type of way of living.
Yeah. So I think, would I ever say like that I'm not Catholic? I don't know, because I think like a part of me still like believes that and follows that, and I was raised that way. So like there's a part of me that's always going to be like Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 7 years, but right now like I just believe in good and doing good, being good, and spiritual. That's loaded. That's a loaded question. We'll see.
I hear you. I'm in that kind of the same place. I was not raised religious. My dad was raised Jewish to a point. My mom was raised like Christian to a point. They both got together, and me and my brother were raised nothing, essentially, just to be like good people. They always asked us if we felt we were left out, you know, of like one thing or the other. I always said no. My brother always said no. We were always, you know, our friends were going to Sunday school and, you know, Hebrew school, and they were like, oh, I hate going here. It sucks. It takes up my weekend. And we were like, we don't have to go. Like, that's just, you know, and it was like awesome. So it was nice in that respect. But aside from that, I mean, I never felt like I was missing out because my parents always instilled like it's just be good and do good. And if you feel like you're missing out on something or you need more, you're welcome to explore, which was always like a very cool thing. And I think that that's something that I feel like, and again, I'm not like well versed in a lot of religions, but it's just allowing someone to explore is a very cool thing. And I feel like it's not necessarily as advertised or as encouraged as it should be, or as I think it should be. Because people have to think for themselves. And I don't think it's fair to kind of be like, well, I was raised this way, so I think this way. I think it's more like I was raised this way. Now let me think for myself. Do I agree or do I not agree with how I was raised? So I think that's definitely a thing. I think there is like an afterlife. I've had like weird experiences with afterlife things. People like my mom who like has like weird dreams about people that are about to die or have died, and it's almost like they're communicating with her. So I definitely think there's life after death. I don't think there is an all encompassing thing. Like it's like, this is what happens or this is what doesn't happen. But I definitely have a spiritual thing about me. It's just, it's not like a very like concrete thing. Kind of just an abstract, there's something up there and I respect it, and I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's judging me. I don't think it's putting people into different categories. I think it's just, it's up there and you'll figure it out when you get there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like spirituality within yourself is like also important to add, because that's pretty common like for women, because they say a lot of women are like very intuitive, but a lot of people just don't talk about it. So I don't really know like what I have, but sometimes I feel like I can see another layer of things that other people can't. So I feel like I can definitely understand you like on that aspect. And I feel like we, like even just me and you, like connect on a level that leads its way to that. Like, and it's different. It's interesting. Like, not that I'm like like that I can see things or anything, but you have a strong intuition, and I I don't know what it comes from. I don't know if it comes from me being able to read people well, but usually I can see like things happening in relationships or work like from a mile away. I have the ability to like sense where someone's coming from, or like understand more about a situation just because of like, I don't know if it's body language or like just really good intuition, but I do feel like I have some sort of like strong sense, which a lot of women do say is a thing, but people just don't talk about much.
Yeah. No, I definitely believe that's like part of it, is like people have, like people always say they have like maybe a sixth sense, and it could be about like people from a past life, or it could be about like me knowing what you want for dinner or whatever it is. Like it could be something so ridiculous, but like people have like a weird sense or feeling of something, and I think it's definitely, there could be something there. Something a little bit more low key. What do you do? I know you mentioned before kind of briefly about you chugging ice cream. But what do you do from a long day of treating patients? Is there something that you do typically, or things that you'd like to do, or things that maybe you would want to do?
For me,
that would be like a really fun thing to kind of like relax after a day of treating people as a nurse.
For me, I do something in the morning and when I get out of work consistently, usually every day, but when I work especially. So first thing I do when I get up, obviously I wash my face, I get all myself together, and I read from my little pocket books. I have like Buddhist I don't know what to call them. They're just sayings,
Just little
and
books, little
yeah,
things. Yeah.
they're really, really nice, and it's something to keep in mind throughout the day. So those keep me grounded. They're by Pima Chodron, and then I have a book by I forget. Let me look up his name really quick. I'm gonna
It's
look
all
it up.
good.
He's so cute.
He's so cute.
Yeah. Pima Chodron. Who's the other one? His name is hard to say.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Thich Nhat.
Okay.
So the sayings in Thich Nhat Hanh are a little bit longer.
Okay.
So I usually leave those for the weekends. But when I'm working, I'll read Pima Chodron, and they bring up things like mindfulness and interbeing and ancestral like baggage, or just mindfulness, empathy, knowing that suffering is a part of life, knowing to like lead with love, like a lot of like really good like core values. And I'll wake up with that every morning, and usually not usually, 100% of the time on the way home from work, I will blast some music. That's like my thing. Like that's one of the most like therapeutic things to me. Like I'm a huge music person, so whether it be like my classic like pop punk or like screamo, or even if I want to be like more low key, I'll blast country. I'll blast like whatever I'm in the mood
Just to play it loud.
for, like alternative, like anything. Just like playing music loud and unruly, like being unruly after being in an environment that's very controlled is like something that I need, and something that like, keeps me sane. But also like if I had a super stressful day, there's days I'll go to Taco Bell and just like get a quesadilla. Like I used to tell like my family, I'm stressed when I get a quesadilla. Like my Taco Bell order will like wane depending on my stress level. So usually I don't order it. If I'm a little bit stressed, I'll get like a social taco with beef or whatever. If I'm really stressed, I'll get a chicken quesadilla. Because that's just too good to pass up.
That's so funny.
But honestly, music is like one of the big kickers, and that's like one of the things that I always fall back on. And most of the things that I do, everything that I enjoy to do revolves around music. So anything outside, like when we went hiking, like had to have my music. When I go biking, running, when I do anything outside, I always have like a speaker on me or my phone. It just it puts me in a certain way, and it like brings peace to my life, like no matter what kind of music it is. Because some people would be like, how are you listening to this and like relaxing? But it just like, I think it helps my mind process too, because it like brings up thoughts, and like so I can take them in or let them go, and it's just like nice to have like that music there.
Yeah, I hear you. I know, like I mean, when I'm relaxing, when I was living at home with my parents and I was relaxing from like a long day or a rough day, I would put on like Criminal Minds or like SVU, and they're like, how is this relaxing you? Like it's about like rape and murder and like
literally
criminal activity. It's like awful. And it's just like, it was just like it sounds so sick, but it was just like a nice constant background. Like I knew in the end of these shows, majority of the time, that the bad guy would get caught, and it was just a kind of cathartic type of thing to watch and have in the background. Not saying that I'm like for all that stuff, but I'm just saying, it was my way of winding down, and I think everyone has like a way of winding down. So it is cool to know. It's nice to know that you have like a certain genre of music to turn to, or a certain thing to turn to that like gets you to chill out, even if it may seem extremely strange. Like watching, like rapists get, caught on SVU. It's like a comfort to know that things are kind of like getting wrapped up, or whatever it is that kind of makes you feel a certain way. So that's definitely cool. My last question, unless you have more to add, but my last question is, do you have any hidden talents or something that you would like to learn, or both?
Hidden talents. Honestly, I haven't played this game since like 6th grade. It's not much of a hidden talent because everyone's like, oh, that's not that cool. But when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, my tongue can touch my nose, watch.
Oh, snap.
But
I can't do that at all.
That's like the hidden talent.
No. Okay.
Really not that great.
I cannot do that at all. No, not at all.
Besides
that,
I definitely love to learn new things. So not to boast and be annoying, but this past year I have learned like a great deal of stuff, which is great, and I want to keep on learning new things. I've gotten so much better at longboarding, which is like so different for me, because I remember when I first bought the thing, I was like, what's the point of this? I can't even get up on it. My brother was like using it, and my ex was like using it at the time, and I was like, do you guys just want it? Because I can't even use it. And it was like $100, but now I can actually like go on it. I can turn. It feels good.
That's
so
cool.
I've been doing that. I've been getting a lot more into yoga the past like year and a half, and I can do like some transitions. I can do like crow to chaturanga. I can do headstand, tripod headstand, a few things that like when I first saw, I was like, there's no way. But even now, like I can be hard on myself. So I try and focus less on like doing new moves. But when I want to better myself, I am trying to learn handstand and forearm stand. So it's just like putting it out there, putting into the universe. I practice both of them. I could do handstand on a wall, but like doing it away from the wall and popping up on my own is difficult. But it's just like, you know, it's a goal. It's not like the end all.
Yeah,
and
I hear you. Yeah.
Again, was my first time trying rollerblading, and that was like new for me. Like I never rollerbladed in my life. So I was walking on the grass at first because I was seeing like that's how little kids learn. And then I was trying to roll up and down like my side entryway over here. But rollerblading is one of the hardest things I've ever tried.
It is so hard. I will vouch for you. I have rollerblades, and I told my boyfriend that if we want to do it, he's like, I stop her. Like I don't know how to stop without like spazzing completely and like falling forward. So
when I see
for you
boardwalk doing it, they're so graceful, and it looks like nothing can like make them fall down. So when I tried it for the first time, I had completely like different expectations. I was like, this is gonna be a piece of cake.
So easy. Ooh. Yeah, no, it's rough. It can be rough.
Difference between rollerblading and roller skating. So roller skating, the wheels look a little bit more square, and they're like more similar to my skateboard wheels. So I'm thinking if anything, not that I want to like negate like inline skating, roller skating altogether. Like I'll try it, and my roommate has roller skates, so I can try hers. But no, sorry, roller blades. But sometimes people say like if one doesn't work for you, the other will. So I might try roller skating too. You have to see. But I do this stuff all the time, and like that's one of the nice things about like quarantine right now. And not that I'm not working because I've been full time through it all, but like I've had more time to focus on like myself, and also being single. It's just like I've had more time to do random stuff, and I haven't really, you know, no broken bones yet.
Yeah.
Like. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's definitely cool. I can see being roller skating. I know, because obviously, I mean, you're on like all fours and stuff. I mean, you're always on fours, but you're like square on fours instead of being like in line. Yeah, rollerblading. I'm a spaz. So, yeah, no, good luck with that. I think that's a cool thing to try and conquer. for sure. Yoga, I mean, any of that stuff. I mean, I have my 200-hour training and all of that stuff, and it's been a long time since I've gotten that training, and I still, there's always things to work towards, which is cool. I haven't gone full into it since I first got trained because I was working full time and massaging and doing all different things, but it's definitely a thing that's always takes practice. So you can't always do something every day, which is cool. It's frustrating, but it's cool. So that's definitely like a cool thing to kind of play around with, especially now in quarantine when people are like stuck at home and they're trying to learn new things. You can't beat yourself up over it because it takes time, a lot of time, and I still can't do a lot of things.
I find a happy medium between like bettering myself, but then also trying new things, because sometimes I feel like I can be that person that's like, and it's funny because like I never saw myself this way, but I feel it sometimes. I'm like, I'm a show off right now because I'm like trying to do all these different poses and like do the next thing and like post it on Instagram and like, oh cool, like look what she's doing now. Like, no. And because one of my yoga teachers who I really admire, he always like believes in non-judgmental yoga. He's like, literally, if you want to be in child's pose the whole time, like you do it. And like
own it and do it. Yeah.
Yoga as any of us are doing. And he's right. Like I feel like there was a time like in the winter time where I was like trying new poses like every other day. I was like doing mermaid pose and like side crow and da da da, like all this stuff. And I got to a point actually recently, it was like 3 weeks ago, I was like, who am I proving this to? Like, what's the point? And I'm just like, okay, like in my head, I was like, really, what's the point? Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is this something that I really want to do, or is it something that I just want to show other people? And in the end, like, I do want to learn these things, but I'll learn them at my own pace. I don't have to make myself crazy about like sticking handstand and like, you know, like right then, like it takes time. But I think that that's like a social media thing too, because sometimes you see people and they're like doing all these transitions and like you're watching like this girl who's done yoga for 20 years and like her legs up by her head and you're like, I can do that, watch me. Like, so I think one of the things that's hardest for me, like just as a characteristic, is to be like gentle on myself and rest. And like, you know, like I go on these crazy hikes and like I'll bike and I'll run and like I just love activity, but it's really hard for me to just like stay stationary at rest and like not think of like something else I could be doing. So I'm trying to find the beauty in relaxing, which is a little strange for me, but trying.
Yeah, it's like being like the beauty in being a beginner.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
definitely it's definitely a thing that takes practice, because I know, like I said, I trained years ago in yoga, and you know, people have like this misconception that like, oh, you're trained in yoga, like you should be able to do this and this, and it's so not true, because everyone has different bodies and different things going on in their lives. And you know, I mean, my hips are so tight, my hamstrings are so tight, and like to get me into a split, forget about it. Right now it's not happening, but not to say it won't happen ever, but right now it's not a thing. I work towards it, but it's not something that you can beat yourself up about. It's not something that you can I mean, you can, because people do it all the time, but it's not something that you should beat yourself up about, because everyone does things in their own time, and maybe you were never meant to do a split. Maybe that wasn't in the cards for you, and that's totally cool, but you have to get there by yourself. So it's like a thing you have to learn on your own.
100%.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with us. Do you have anything else that you want to share before you leave us? Or you all talked out?
This is gonna be a little funny,
Okay.
but I'm gonna bring something up that I've been realizing, and I was talking to one of my friends about the other day. But it's about socially, like the way we communicate, like with people we don't know and like passing on the street and stuff. So one of the things that I've been noticing is when this is like my last comment too, because I'm exhausted.
Right.
So walking down the street, a lot of people say it's like, it's an older woman or, you know, a woman or a man, and they're walking with a baby or they're walking with a dog. And one of the things that I notice when I look at people doing this is that the passerby will like smile at the baby and not say anything to the parents, or smile at the dog and be like, oh, your dog, like, oh, the dog's so cute, and like not even look at the owner. And I think this is like a whole new level of like social awkwardness. And I don't know if it's part of it is due to COVID, it seems, because a lot of people like are just like they're just like, they think someone's gonna talk and breathe on them and they're gonna like get COVID. So it has to do with that, but it also has to do with I don't know, maybe like trust or comfort around other people. But it's like something that I don't really like thrive well like in, and it's just uncomfortable for me, because a lot of times like when you want to, you know, like that you see someone someone walking down the street and like they get within like 10 feet, and then you're like, okay, like, you know, you're gonna say hi, and then they look the other way and you're like what is it?
Man.
I'm like, so that's something that I want to bring up, because I feel like all of us like just want to connect, and that's like why I did this, so people will find comfort and like in knowing that like they're not the only one, or like that they're not the only one that thinks like I do, or I'm not the only one that thinks like they do, and that things happen and life happens, and to just, you know, find comfort in other people. So it does, like, it's strange to me when people just like disregard each other, and I'm seeing that a lot more, and I think it is because of the virus, because everyone's just like scared and has their mask on, and
like so to themselves. Yeah,
like I know it's hard to breathe and this and that, but like I don't know, we shouldn't all be like just involved in our phones or like focus on something minuscule like the baby or the dog. Like look at the actual adult who's your age, like right in front of you, instead of like being awkward and like not saying hello, but saying like, oh, the baby's so cute. It's weird. I think
it's like a cookie cutter response that I feel like you're just like, aside from COVID, for me, it's like, you know, how are you today? Oh, I'm good. How are you? It's like a cookie cutter response that it doesn't take any thought. It's just a regurgitated response that you're kind of like primed.
Like the way your hands are going, it's like they're pushing it away.
You're like, you're primed to say a certain thing, and that's it. And it's not how you really feel. It's not how you really feel, which I guess is what it comes down to. It's not how you really feel at all.
Yeah, I'd rather somebody say, oh, like last night was horrible, I was crying all night, I had the worst fight ever, than say like, oh yeah, like my day was good, how was yours? Because that's why people wind up in like shitty situations of like they feel stuck, they feel like they have nobody because they don't say it. So
then they're pretending.
It's like, it's scary to me that, you know, we live in a huge world where I am alone. I don't know. I think Long Beach has like massive people. I don't know the stats, but we're like one of the only cities in Long Island. Mm-hmm. So there's multi-families here, like in the same house. So there's so many people, but the fact that people still feel disconnected is like such a problem to me. And it's one of the things that I take as like a personal goal or something that makes me happy, like to bring people together. And like, I'm the last person to exclude anybody. I'm the last person to be like, oh, well, you know, they don't know them, so like maybe they shouldn't come, like, or whatever. Like, I think we could all learn something from each other. And I think it's fucked up and it's BS that people like are scared to talk to other people unless it's like anxiety related or something, but like a lot of times it's just like rudeness, so that bothers me. I see it all the time and I'm like you're awkward.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean that's like a big reason why I like started doing these interviews, is that like people want to share things that are important to them and how they feel and whatnot, and things that a lot of people can connect with that they just don't put out there because they feel like they're going to get judged or they're going to be hated on for it, or whatever it is like, it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, the only person that ultimately matters is like how you judge yourself. And if you are comfortable with yourself, then who the fuck cares? So yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah, so everyone stop looking at dogs and say hi to the owners, please.
Say hi to the owners, look them in the eye. Even if it's an ugly dog. Like for me, like I don't like chihuahuas, but like I might say hi to you, you know. Get a nice response there. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I also think that's funny, but that's like a totally separate topic, is that like I feel like it's funny when you look at the breed of dog and you look at the breed, like the owner. I'm like, the breed of the owner, but you look at the owner and like the breed of dog. I know there's like funny, like there's funny tests out there with people that they're like, oh, Chihuahuas have this sort of owner, and like Golden Retrievers have this owner, and it is just like a funny thing. But no, it's true. I mean, you should really connect with the person.
I think it's something that we lost along with like the era of technology a little bit, because excuse me. If I think about the people who are more like apt to reach out to me, it's always someone who's older. It's always someone who's either our parents' age or in their 70s or 80s, who like grew up having to communicate. Now you go somewhere and like people don't really know how to talk, and like they say, I'm all into like saying like new age words like vibe and like thought, like whatever, but like have a educated conversation with me, or even just like the simplest thing, like I was just saying, like saying hello. The fact that when I'm walking down the street and there's a guy who's close to my age, he won't say hi to me, probably because he'll think I think it's a sexual thing, is fucking crazy. And that's that's such a vibe. Like it's a vibe. Yep, it's a vibe. It's crazy. Because that happens all the time, because Long Beach is full of like younger adults. We're all like in our mid to like early to mid 30s. So at least once a day, if I'm going to the boardwalk, I'll like walk next to or like pass a guy or even a girl who's like around my age. And something about like that, like with a girl, I don't know if it's like just, I don't know, like you don't know what to say. I smile and sometimes I just like get a blank stare, or like they look the other way, which is weirder than a guy. A guy I can see, like, because some girls are, you know, some of us are crazy. We can take things like a completely other way. Oh, he smiled at me. Let's call the cops. Sorry. I'm losing it. But seriously, like, I think that's crazy that especially men have to feel a certain way, like that they can't say hi, or that like we're gonna feel uncomfortable if they say hi, or if maybe they're just awkward to say hi. But it's weird.
I agree. Well, that's it. I mean, those are all the questions I had. If you have anything else to add, which I know that was kind of like your 2 cents. If you have anything else, you're welcome to. But that's it. I mean, thank you for being honest and open.
I was very honest.
It's all good.
Thank you.
I enjoy good girl talk, you know. It's all good.
Until next time.
Until next time.